5 o'clock in the morning.
Hi.
Just for you, sir.
Good evening. We are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the vlogcast. Vlogcast that comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. Ah, great. Sorry, I got a new warning up on my thing that says that Hangouts on Air is going away effective August 1.
What?
Nice of them to finally give us warning in the middle of freaking July. Yes, I've been planning.
It's Christmas in July.
Yeah, I've been thinking about how to work around this, but I've been a little bit busy. What with last weekend, we'll tell you all about that in a little bit.
I mean, the weekend you don't remember?
I can just see this now. I can just see this now. And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and welcome to Holy Crap, the vlogcast, now streaming on Twitch.
Not exactly. I'll explain. I'll explain a little bit.
Hey, we had the guys from the Atheist Experience give us some advice.
That's all well and good. We'll deal with that a little bit later. So, hi. Yeah, thanks, YouTube. Thank you very much for screwing around with stuff. Anyway, welcome to Holy Crap, the vlogcast. Vlogcast comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. This vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect because dumbasses everywhere I look. Pauses follow through with the old adage, sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. Although it would be really nice if people weren't putting speed bumps on the way. Thanks, guys. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin Tribble all over the place. Shujin. You can find me in such places as not even half awake last week because I was in Pittsburgh. I'll tell you a little bit about that in a couple of moments. I'll make it short, I promise. Let's go ahead and introduce you to everybody because you met them last week and they did a wonderful job without me. Which I'd like to say that I'd like to say that I'm really proud of that. But it's making me realize I'm not quite expendable.
Sure you are.
Yeah,
none of us are. Or all of us are, or none of us are.
We everybody is expendable. But there's a difference. I'm not expendable. I'm not stupid, and I'm not going. Thank you, Blake.
I'm expendable. I'm just not worth much.
Underline the last one.
Yeah. Top left-hand corner, North America. Outside of a place where a Stampede will be happening sometime in the near future, I think is what it is, right, Dalan?
Actually, Stampede is happening right now, and I think it's wrapping up tomorrow. Once again, I did not go because, well, I just don't have that kind of money.
I thought Black Friday wasn't until November.
It's a different Stampede.
Yeah, no, this is the Stampede that involves horses and really, really greasy and incredible carnival food, rides.
But enough about Anthrocon, right?
And PETA.
Yeah, like I said.
Yeah. The Stampede
people
you're talking about
tasty animals?
No, actually, these are people that they go to the events. You know, they see horse races, and they decide that they're going to become instant celebrities and start complaining about. Well, that's cruel, or that's this, or that's that.
Oh, PETA.
Yes, PETA, PETA.
Okay, I thought it was PETA.
The guys who claim that they stand against animal cruelty but slaughter 20,000 puppies a year because that's the right thing to do. Bastards.
Well, look at pro-lifers, they're all about taking away abortion rights, but there's not one showing up at any of the illegal immigration detention centers where people are dying, getting raped, have no chairs, no fresh water, inadequate food, nowhere to sleep, no showers.
Oh yeah.
And Mike Pence, the figurehead, is there going, these are the serfs,
Yeah,
and then when they try to get funding passed through Congress to help these people, the same people who are complaining about it block it.
Yeah.
Let's move on, shall we?
Let me get through saying hi to everybody. Down and to the right just a little bit into the Midwest of the U.S., where it's all kinds of nice and gentle breezes and nice, comfortable temperatures out there. Brigid, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. Could you see how sarcasm? I'm trying really hard.
Heat indices are just really lots of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. When they need new colors on the temperature map, yeah, things are just all kinds of wonderful. I'll get to that in a second. Just outside of the hot seat, otherwise known as, hey, do we still do we have a press secretary right now? I don't even know.
I don't think we do.
UnrenownedTech,
Do we
hi.
want one?
You know,
I mean, with the only press coming out of the White House being on Twitter.
True.
yeah, you know,
What's the point?
I was going to say something about lowering the bar, but I would really like to lower the bar about 6 feet under right about now. But that's mixing my metaphors a little bit, right?
We can't lower the. There is no bar lower than Trump
That
that I know of.
The elevator's still going down.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, over the water, over to Paris, where remember I mentioned about the temperatures being hellacious? Yeah, Joseph. Good morning.
Oh, good morning. They're quite balmy now. Nice.
Balmy is a nice way of putting it. If I remember right, you guys have been dealing with temperatures in the 110 Fahrenheit area. I forget what that converts to. Approaching 50.
How many? What's that in Kelvin?
A lot. Just a lot.
When you start measuring earthbound temperatures in Kelvin, you've got a problem.
Yeah, that was kind of my point. But we did break a record here.
Yeah.
But in the southern France, yeah, an all-time record since these kind of things have been recorded.
You don't have air conditioning either, do you?
Most people don't. No. Grin. Oh, no. I'm sorry. I was going to say the attitude here seems to be grin and bear it, but it's more like scowl and scowl and bear it. Yeah, we're in France. Oh, by the way, it's the 14th of July today.
Yes, it is, and funny how that works. Yeah, there's reasons for that. Yes, amongst other things. Technically, by the way, for those of you that are aware, all right, let me get to that in a second. Thank you all for joining us. I know things are a little on the weird side tonight. There's reasons. Like I was saying, yes. Last week I was in Pittsburgh for Anthrocon, and the guys went ahead and put on the show without me, which is, like I said, it's good to know that when my time to finally hand over is done, I know full well that I can feel comfortable that yes, this is going to continue on in some way, shape, or form. I hope. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But
I hear worry.
Little bit.
The best part is there were a few points during the last episode where I was like, if Shujin was here, his jaw would be hitting the floor right now, and his eyebrows would be going, huh?
Yeah,
Well,
I haven't had the chance to watch
Don't,
the whole thing yet.
Don't be worried.
To borrow a phrase or a saying from Paul Stanley, one of the frontmen of KISS, one of his greatest hopes was that the band would be bigger than the artists themselves. He was actually looking forward to the day where he could retire and that there could be 4 new members who would put on the makeup and continue the tradition.
He wanted it to be a franchise?
Not so much that. It's just that think of it as the band. Shit. What the hell was the name of the boat?
SS Minnow?
No, the ship of
What was the Love Boat called?
that was the Pacific Princess. It's a different thing. No, the ship of damn it. The ship, the Greek vessel. You replace every plank until is it the same boat or wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, basically that's what he's talking about, but in musical form.
Yeah,
you keep switching out musicians until it doesn't really matter anymore.
I I could make that comparison to what they're doing here in Paris with fashion. All the label like Dior, all the original designers, they're dead, and they just carry on in name.
Yeah.
And nobody knows who the designer is nowadays. For who knows who's like who can name the people from Kiss? Like,
Which era would you like to know?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, we can, but I mean,
Yeah,
most people. Like if
no,
you look
you're
at Kiss
right.
with the makeup like that, it's legendary, their makeup and all that, and it's that's exists more than the band
Yeah,
members.
and that's
They've
the
accomplished their goal.
That's the idea, is that well, at least that was the thought, that eventually, Paul and Gene, they're getting up there in years. I mean,
Yeah, Gene needed to go away a long time ago. By the way,
Yeah.
Stephanie was saying the Argus, Jason's ship. No, it's the ship of Theseus. That's the name I was trying to come up with.
right.
Couldn't come up with it because I started off with an S, and it's like no. There's a whole other thing with that. Okay, so couple things. Item number one. Yes, today is Bastille Day. It is the unofficial birthday of Icarus. Some people know who I'm talking about. Most people are just like, ooh. Yeah, there's a thing about that. It's his unofficial birthday. Next year, the theme for Anthrocon is Aesop. Now, I know that Icarus is not one of Aesop's fables, but because of that, he needs to live, breathe, thrive, and survive. So I have to make him live.
So with it being Aesop, does that mean that I could show up in a really bad mood and just say sour grapes, and everybody I could have a legitimate excuse for being in a perpetually bad mood at that con all the time.
You do realize, of course, that every fox around the place is going to be jumping up on you the whole damn time. You know that, right? You know that.
Say that like that's a bad thing.
Well, it depends on the fox, because I mean, a fox persona could be, very cute, very cuddly, very mischievous. A real life fox could be quite a bit the opposite. Just saying.
Straight for the nutsack.
He said it.
1300 Elmwood Avenue, Buffalo, New York, 14222. Dial carefully. Good luck.
WN.
Oh my god.
No, Tech. Remember, it's WN. BC.
I forgot to gargle first.
It's more like WT. Am I?
Yeah, really. For those of you that are kind of wondering about that WNBC thing, that Don Imus. He needed to go away a long time ago also. That's a whole other thing. Anyway, for what it's worth, for those of you that are wondering, how did Anthrocon go for me? I was very dragged out. I did comment while the show was going live. I really don't remember it very much at all, but I really overdid it for myself. If you check through my social media under Shujin Triple, you will find the couple of pictures, couple of videos for the Furry Femme shoot, which was I'm very proud for, and Breakfast with Fred, which I'm both proud and upset about for various reasons, but I'm very glad for what we were able to do with all that. A good time was had by all, and when all is said and done, really that's the important part. And Tiny Tribble came. He had a great time. It did not have the same impact for him as for Equinox because, it's Anthrocon, but, it's not exactly our home con, shall we say. So, there is a little bit of a difference. But I think, excuse me, just cracking my back a little bit, which is, I'm trying to keep real careful about that. It's still your reasons, but anyway, we got Stephanie Got you, like my grandfather's axe. Okay. I would expect that your grandfather would have been an Old Spice guy, but it's not my call. Fine, whatever. I don't know what's going on. We'll deal with it. And since we didn't have an opening for last week, I guess I have to kind of pick up the slack on that one. And nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Trust me, I understand. I know full well that that Noah completely scripts out Scathing Atheist like to the second. We don't do that, and I sure as hell don't do that. And it is what it is. So keep that in mind. So with 5 minutes on the clock, see, the only reason Dalan didn't do it is because he doesn't have a timer on his clock.
Well, maybe he did it, but in a different way.
I don't want to go there. I'd like to think that I'm actually doing something special just to me. Thanks. Appreciate it.
To be fair.
To be fair.
To be fair.
Okay, waving pom-poms over here.
We did have a guest last week, and I really just wanted to get things rolling so that, because I mean, they're here. We're grateful for for them taking the time out to come and hang out with us.
Completely understandable.
Yeah, and I wanted to make sure that we had as much time with them as possible.
And good on you for that.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. God damn it!
No excuses required.
No. So, 5 minutes on the clock for this week. 5 minute freestyle starts right now. Imbalance. Believe it or not, I was really trying hard to, full well, I try really hard to make sure that the 5 minute freestyle and the actual topic for the show don't intertwine. I really try really hard for that. And sometimes they kind of do, and they kind of have to, because it's just, I can't get the topic off of my head.
I still don't know what
But this is, shut up! So, what I try to do is I try to give you guys something to think about that may be tangentially related. And this is kind of one of those times. In the US, and unfortunately in other areas, representative government is being cut out in various ways that don't make a lot of sense until you look at the trends. And this is something that has become a real problem. The technical term for it is gerrymandering. And this is something that has become a pastime in politics here in my country, which has been annoying to no end because it's been going on since, well, for a very, very long time. For almost as long as representative government has been a thing in my country, which, let's face it, 200 and some odd years. That's kind of annoying that it's gone on this long and hasn't been slapped down. And that's the problem. That's the biggest problem. That when these things have been happening, and little nudges and little nudges and little nudges that keep tipping the scales out of imbalance, nobody has actually had the gall to go ahead and slap somebody's hand really hard and tell them, no, that's not the way it's supposed to be done. That's not the way we do it, because that's not the way it's supposed to be done, because that's not fair to anybody. That's the problem. That has been the biggest problem for, in this case, over 200 years in my country. That nobody has had nobody's had the balls to actually go ahead and say, no, cut it the fuck out. You're not supposed to do it that way. You're not going to do it that way. And we're not going to let you do it that way. Because it's been all about who can tip the scales more in their favor. They had it right in Spaceballs. Evil wins because good is just dumb. It's not that it's dumb. It's that, if you'll forgive me for being slightly hyperbolic a second here, the good guys are the ones who want to put things back into a fair state. The bad guys are the ones who want to put it back into a state that is favorable to them, even if it's by just a hair's breadth. Because once you have that tipping point going on, then you can nudge slowly, imperceptibly at first. And yeah, I know, I can't talk. Leave me alone. And that's the problem, isn't it? We've seen the memes all over the place that say, how is it that 30% of the population can control 60% of the government body? That doesn't make sense. Statistics say that's wrong. Fair play says that that's wrong. Anyone with half a brain that can say this is fair and this is not has to look at this and go, yeah, that's something's wrong. They don't have to say that it's not right, but they sure as shit should be able to look at stuff and go, yeah, that's something's wrong there. What's wrong is nobody's been held to the fire. Nobody has been hit where it hurts. Nobody has been held accountable for their placing their thumb on the scales. You want to go ahead and complain to the underworld in Egypt that somebody is putting their thumb on the scales when they're weighing a heart? Do that all you want. But the here and now, this is where that matters. And if you don't hold someone accountable, that imbalance is just going to keep happening. But the problem is, that is a legitimate slippery slope. And that is not a good place to end up. Episode 269 on the docket, Your Honor. Pedestal? No. Dunk tank? Yes. Because we've been hearing how this kind of holding people accountable is going to be a problem. And the latest tour de force is this person who has been accused, credibly so, it would appear, for some news outlets want to call it underage women having sex.
Yeah.
Underage, anyone is called minors, is called children. Now, for those of you that want to go ahead and belabor the point and want to be overly pedantic about it, I know. A minor may not necessarily be a child, but a child is a minor. When all is said and done, we're talking about those who are not allowed to make consent choices because legally they can't. And anyone over that age knows full well, or should, that you're not allowed to make that kind of choice for them, because that's coercion. That's what's the word I'm looking for? Rape. So until found guilty or not guilty in a court of law, they are still accused of. But like I said, seemingly credibly accused of. So we're going to go ahead and go with the they are accused and not pass judgment at this point. However, that doesn't mean that we don't think that credible claims should be discounted either out of hand, because that would be wrong on many levels. So, reminding everybody that we're dealing with an accused and not a convicted at this point. What's going on now is that people are going ahead and they're saying, well, if we go ahead and we investigate this guy and they bring him down because it's credible, we're going to be bringing down your guy too. And do you really want that? And like I was saying about the good guys versus the bad guys, As far as I'm concerned, the good guys who are the ones that are going, do we want you to investigate our guy and bring them down too?
Sure.
Yeah. Yes. Because if they did something wrong, we want them the fuck out. I think I'm gonna have to change the. I think I'm gonna have to change the rating on the show because I'm not a happy camper right now.
Part of the problem is you have people in positions of authority and power who say, well, if I was worried about somebody that I wanted in authority and they had connections with somebody else, if they go after that somebody else, my guy might lose out. I don't want that to happen, and they're thinking about themselves. They're thinking about their power structure. They're thinking about how they've set everything up to keep themselves afloat. They're not thinking in terms of other people, where the other people, such as like ourselves, where we're going, look, yeah, we like particular candidates, but if they're corrupt, we need to know this shit. We need them out. We need them gone, and we need replacements. And we can't get replacements if they're not gone.
Yep. Now to make
and
sure
they're not thinking like that.
Right. So we're gonna be talking about that part because there are several cases where it happened the way that overall we think it should happen. We don't think. Okay. I don't think. I should say. I should not speak for the panel on this one. I think that there is a way that it should happen, but we'll deal with that in a couple of moments. Before we get to it, I did see that Trippin is over there. Good morning, and Chip. I will give you the same thing that I tell a lot of other people that chime in who are new to this whole thing. Just follow Wheaton's rule. Don't be a dick. If you want to have a little bit of fun, okay. I see what you did over there. You want to be kind of trolly. Okay, you did your pieces. Okay. If you want to continue on with the content, like I said, don't be a dick. And I won't kick you. I won't kick you anyway, but I'm going to tell you, don't be a dick because it's not going to be worth it. However, seeing as how I need to make sure that I, cover all bases, I did not get the opportunity to go looking for information about Rafe Badawi, unfortunately. So please forgive me. I didn't have anything pop on my news feed either to, hit me on stuff. So assuming that no news is pretty much still the MO, as of the recording of tonight's show, it is now 7 years, 30 days since Rafe was unjustly incarcerated for thought crime. Our thoughts, our hopes are still with you and your family. We are still waiting and we are still hoping. Moving on. As Chip, I'm gonna be making sure that you hear me one more time. If you know what, let's do it this way. If you've got information that you think we should have, please feel free to. I don't remember if links are available to be listed, but do the simple hyphen dot hyphen to separate out stuff so that it bypasses the whole filter for links. If you've got information that you think that we should have, drop links. Show us your notes so that we can evaluate it ourselves and work it from there, and we'll kind of work from there. And thank you.
One of the things, if I may chime in real quick here, I'll keep it real quick.
We'll
Chip,
move.
if you happen to have a lot of material and you're not sure what somebody has, what you can do is you can collate your data, put it all together in a nice form in something like Google Docs, okay? Make just a nice little Word document where, okay, this segment in this part of this document is all about this evidence, and this is all about this evidence, and this is my reference material, and so on and so forth. And then what you can do is you can set the document to public or shared or something and send us the link. And then that way we can go through it and actually review it and see the material in the way that you really want it presented to us, as well as giving us a chance to go ahead and vet the sources that you utilized. Because sometimes, and I've been guilty of this myself, I thought I was using a good source. It turned out, had I done an additional 10 minutes of deeper diving into the source, I would have really found out that I was using something shady. And it's something I still kick myself over. And it happens to the best of us. It can happen to anybody. So if you've got stuff, go ahead and collate that all together into a nice document. Send us the link. We'll go ahead and read it. Somebody on this panel will look at it. We'll review it. We'll look at it. And possibly it may even make the next show or a show down the line, depending on how much material there is and how much review that we have to do on it. No promises, but we will at very least look at it and see what you have to say as a person.
Right. So we've got plenty of opportunities. You can email it, you can tweet it, you can hit Facebook, the whole thing. That being the case, we'll leave that aside and move on from here. Let me start off with making sure that we all understand. What we're talking about is not a partisan item. This is not a Republican or Democrat. This is not a liberal or conservative. This is a moral stance more than anything else, I would say, because we know full well, we've talked about it before, that other species have shown a propensity for fair play. I guess it's probably the nicest way of putting it. So I'm pretty sure that we can understand that somebody that is not playing nice or not playing fair, we should be able to collectively recognize that, whether it's in sports or in politics or in driving. So, this is not something new. We've talked about it before. And, Brigid, here's a good one for you. Because this is one of the ones where it's like, oh, what are the Democrats going to do when something like that happens for them? Franken.
They kicked his ass to the curb.
Yep. And what was so good about him? Tech, is that you, Tappity?
I got you covered. Sorry about that.
I was wondering where that was. Okay, so what was so special about Mr. Franken?
He was a hell of a congressman. He was very, very talented.
And before that, he was an author and a comedian on Saturday Night Live. I actually read some of his books. Most notably, I believe one was Rush Limbaugh is a Big Fat Liar. What was the other one? Lies and the Lying Liars Who Tell Them, or something like that. These were all sort of on his run up to becoming a senator or congressman.
So it's
why was he ousted again?
But he ended up being very talented as far as in Congress. I was really shocked at how well he did.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
Thought on his feet, which, to be fair, is something that if you're doing live TV, you kind of have to be able to do. You kind of have to be able to think quickly, process, and work with what's going on with the people around you. And in hearings, he was, from what I remember, pretty smart guy, pretty quick on the draw of making sure that he knew what the hell was going on when he went in there. And it's just like, look, I'm not exactly real well versed in all this stuff, but yeah, you know what? We've got this, and we've got this, and we've got this, and we've got this, and yeah. How about we talk about all these pieces, because this is supposed to be what you're supposed to know about. Oh, you don't know about that? Why? Yeah, he was good. He was good at that. But what happened, Bridge?
Well, it came out that he had done some untoward things. There were pictures of him doing untoward things, like groping people when they were asleep and stuff like that. And people called for his resignation, and he stepped down.
Yep.
He did the right thing.
Yes.
But unfortunately, not everybody's playing by these rules.
Nope, they're not.
No, they're not. And see, that's part of the problem. Now, if I remember right, Bridget, didn't at least one of the women come out in his defense and basically say, yeah, the picture didn't really show what was really going on and nothing really happened.
Yeah.
But by that time, the damage had been done. And as we've seen time and again these days, it doesn't matter if you apologize. Because the second it's out there, you're done. There is no mechanism for forgiveness for a lot of these things, controversy, non-controversy, or otherwise.
For a large part of the voting bloc. And if I may add to the mix, there were a lot of people who wanted him out.
Yeah,
Agreed.
and I'll guarantee you.
What he did.
Yeah, and I will guarantee you that if he ever tried to run again, like let's say he was cleared of everything, completely acquitted. There was no crime. Everybody was found to be some kind of a paid huckster, to take him down or whatever. It was all a big conspiracy. Even then, 10 years from now, if he tried to run for Congress again, I can guarantee you, I would put money on the fact that all of this stuff, false, true, or otherwise, would still come up and ruin his reputation.
Only the accusation counts.
Yeah, exactly. Vindication these days does not matter.
Well, because people don't make value judgments for themselves. They rely on their quote-unquote leader, decider, provider to do all that for them.
Yeah, and look at and Trump even exacerbates this every time he starts talking about Hillary. Because what is it? He says crooked Hillary, and the chant goes up, lock her up, and he eats it up like a pro wrestling star.
Yeah, let's hold on that for just a couple of seconds. I don't want to paint with a large brush. Really don't. But as they say, if the shoe fits, there is a reason why stereotypes exist.
Well, these people are in power, and somebody put them there, which means like a majority of voters, which we can paint with a broad brush. But reality says that if a majority of people weren't like that, maybe we should be careful to say a majority of people. But if a majority of people weren't like that, these people wouldn't be in office.
Well, don't forget, sometimes it's not always the majority.
Hold it. Chip, I'm going to tell you one more time, and I'm going to ask you very nicely. Please, don't be a dick. You're treading thin ice at this point. If you've got information, show us your sources. Otherwise, I'm going to ask you nicely to simply go away. I'm asking you nicely.
A quick thing, Chip, is that the way you're presenting your statements
no,
are just emotion. There's no evidence there.
Doesn't matter. I've said my piece. Chip's on his last piece. Leave it from that. This one is on me at this point. They know where they stand. So,
Pizzagate?
Chip. Simple.
No, that was Trip and
Show
Flow.
us. No, sorry. Chip, if you have information, show us your information. If you don't have information, shut up. That's the last that I'm going to say about it. If I have to address it again, I'm going to remove you myself. You have a choice of either put up or shut up. That's all it is at this point. You will be the third person, maybe, that I've ever had to do this to. Moving on. The broad brush that I was trying to talk about, though, was that why does it seem like those that here in the United States or in Canada, you know what? I'm not sure about on Canada's side. Although Mr. Ford, and I use the term loosely, might be considered as such. Why does it seem that the lowercase c conservatives seem to be the ones who are willing to either fight or sling mud back or try to tie up the courts and say, no, never happened. I don't care what you've got to say, la, 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 la. And the ones who are the, again, lowercase progressives or lowercase liberal are the ones who are just like, you know what? It looks like, and that's bad enough for me. Fine, I will take myself out. Why does it seem like that is the stereotype? And like I said, stereotypes are there for a reason. Why does that seem to be the stereotype? Is that really what's happening? Or am I just being myopic and just seeing what I think that I'm seeing?
Well, in this case, what side of the fence does this Epstein guy sit on?
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you said.
Oh, okay. So you're talking stereotypes here,
Right?
or people who on one side will vehemently deny the accusation, and then you've got a statesman like Franken who bowed out. Now, is he the exception or is he the rule when it comes to that side of the fence doing what he did?
Well, he's playing by the rules, but not everybody.
Because if this Epstein guy, if he is a liberal and if he is vehemently denying the accusation, well, that kind of throws all this out the window, doesn't it? Or the same thing with Bill Clinton with Monica Lewinsky. He vehemently denied it. He did not step down, although in his autobiography later, he did address it and he certainly did apologize for his behavior. But I just want to make sure that we're not painting with too broad a brush here.
That's the problem, isn't it? I don't want to paint with a large brush. I don't want to be dealing in the stereotypes because it's far too easy to paint too damn many people that don't deserve, and we really should be specifically poking at individuals instead of groups. But
be careful that you're not mixing up, because I think we've had this discussion before where you say stereotypes, but what we're describing is trends. It's important to differentiate between the two, because things are the way they are for a reason. And we are supposedly in a democratic society. So if the trend leans in one direction, well, the result is going to be a result of that.
I think that's part of the problem, isn't it? Trying to figure out okay. I'm going to be really pedantic for a second, and please forgive the question. Is there really any functional difference in this particular situation, do you think?
What's between
it being a trend and being a stereotype?
Yeah, but a stereotype is trying to apply. It's an already prepared box. A stereotype. It's a before the fact description.
No.
Whereas a trend.
No, hold on. Don't move on, because the stereotype is not set before. A stereotype comes into place because things have progressed in a certain.
And you're trying to apply it to future. Yeah, okay, a stereotype can come around because of an observation of past behavior, but it kind of changes when you try to apply it to present behavior to describe a present condition or a future condition. It becomes a different animal.
Can I throw another thing in the mix here? Since everything's on frappe here anyway. No, I think there is a thing about a stereotype. I've just been listening and thinking about this. I wonder if the stereotype is not necessarily what side of the political fence you're on, but the amount of celebrity clout you hold. Like how much of it depends on populism instead of political leanings. as an example, you hear stories of, Hollywood actors or Hollywood personalities getting into some, pretty serious trouble.
Agreed.
And many of them, and many of them will swear on a stack that they didn't do it, or it was a conspiracy, or it was this. They will vehemently deny it. And in many cases, they will get, some pretty heavy representation on their side, possibly to help protect, other interests. Like what we were talking about before, where, well, if you go after this guy, you realize we're also going to be having to go after this guy. And, here we are saying, well, yeah, if it's all dirty, then yeah, bring it on, which I think is a good idea.
If they're going to make claims, they have to stand the testing. That's the thing, because of they're making claims, if they're making unfounded claims or presenting a partial representation of reality, then, they're going to go down like the other guy who's doing the same thing. They're playing by the other team's rules if they're not being honest, which basically what it comes down to.
And isn't that the big problem? When one group wants to reset the playing field to factory defaults, but the other team doesn't care and only is interested in gaining additional clout, power, then there's a very, very real problem there. And that's kind of the problem that I'm seeing with all of this.
Their only rules are the ones that are beneficial to their own existence, and they basically make up the rules as they go.
Yeah, that's something else that's been going. Yeah, guys, at this point, Chip, I'm going to tell you now, fuck off. Chip, do us all a favor. Fuck right off. You've been told several times over, show us your evidence. You want to go ahead and have us do your homework for you? No, fuck off. You can either leave or I can boot you. It's your choice at this point. And before you go ahead and give me the martyr clause, no, you were told several times over. And if that's the way that it's going to be, here, let me do what I do in situations like this, so that there is no question whatsoever. On the screen, people can go ahead and read the encounter for themselves. This is what we were dealing with. You can pause at any point so that you can take a quick look and see.
But I'm being censored.
Nope, because there is no problem with anybody looking at this stuff and reading for themselves. Those of you that are listening to the audio version, sorry about that. We will continue on in just a couple of seconds. Tech, thank you very much for trying. But at this point, Chip, you can just fuck right off and you can consider yourself persona non grata or potato au gratin. I don't care what the French term is.
Potato au gratin.
You can just
I'm sorry it's late. I'm tired. That seemed absurdly funny to me. My apologies to the French if they found it offensive.
Hey, I'm going to invent that recipe.
Pizzagate's a hoax. Frazzle Drip's a hoax. I went
What
looking
the hell is Pizzagate? Seriously, tripping forward. It's a joke, right?
It was a child prostitution ring, allegedly, that Hillary Clinton had involvement in.
How does that involve pizza?
In the basement of a pizza parlor.
It doesn't, because CP was supposed to be code for cheese pizza, but was also code for child porn.
Oh, jeez.
And some motherfucker decided that they were to go into the place.
What about cut and paste?
You know what, Joseph, at this point, it holds about that much validity.
Yeah.
Potatoes.
Yeah.
Potatoes.
And the worst part of it was some dumbass motherfucker took it completely seriously, went into the place with a semi-automatic rifle, and shot at least one bullet hole into the ceiling because he thought that it was real and wanted to storm the place and free the kids. And turned out that, oh, well, there really isn't anything going on here.
Because shooting
Oops.
kids is freeing them too.
Yeah, that's just a whole...
Yeah, and I did take a look at the Pedestal artwork, and the first thing that came up was that Pedesta's provocative artwork was being harassed by Pizzagate trolls. So,
Yep.
You're circling a drain here, buddy. Sorry.
Yep.
Thank you. Come again.
Nope.
Or don't.
Thank you. Go away.
To the rest of our listeners and to our viewers, it's real simple. If you feel that your statement holds validity, find your sources, find your evidence, compile it, make it in an easy-to-read format so that people can look at what you have to say in a manner that doesn't leave them confused. Because if you talk to a politician, they'll talk to you one of two ways. Either A, they'll talk to you plainly and either tell you the truth or lie to your face. And then you have the other kind. The other ones where they talk for 5 hours and they haven't said a damn thing. If your evidence, if your statements read like the second half, nobody's going to take you seriously, except maybe a politician and people who...
And I'm going to add on to
Tech. If someone's trolling, they're not going to collate any sources because they're trolling.
Oh, exactly.
And I'm going to add on to this. And maybe it's because I'm a teeny little bit more right-leaning than some people on this panel. Just a tad. Not much. It's because I'm old. Fuck all, yes. Don't tell me to educate myself, and don't tell me to just Google it.
Yep.
Because what that tells me is that you didn't do the research either.
Yep.
So why
Google
should I avail myself of that time to prove your claim?
Yep.
Use the exact same search term I did, and you'll have the exact same answers that I want you to have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't tell me to educate myself, because that tells me that you're full of shit.
Yep. And Chip entirely has been removed from the chat. And that's fine.
So
After
long, you
this-
little chipmunk. Have a nice time.
I
I'll
did
brush
not,
him out of all the photos too. while
I
we're
did
at it.
not know that when you remove somebody, it deletes the messages.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which is
I was
part of-
hoping we'd have the logs so we could an example of how not to present your material.
Oh, so that everybody is understanding about this. That is exactly the reason why I screen capped the whole thing
Mhm.
on the video form so that everyone could see what it was that had happened. Transpired. See,
Yeah.
brain work.
If
So it's
No,
it's,
look, as someone who admittedly does look a little bit at some forms of YouTube drama because I'm bored.
Mm.
Everybody screenshots. They'll screenshot a YouTube chat. They'll screenshot Twitter conversations because people can go in afterwards and delete them to create, or to try to create plausible deniability.
Yep.
So yeah, you screenshot that stuff. You go searching the Internet Archives, which apparently will cache damn near everything.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, once it's on the net, it's not entirely dead, and I'm really scared about that because if I ever rise to any amount of fame, they're going to come back and look at this show and go, "Who the hell?"
Dude, I could never run for office. I mean, if I ever had the desire,
we're doomed to never be in politics. Or is
I
that,
am lucky that I don't want to be in politics. I hope that I would never, ever have that desire to try to be in control of a large group of people. Because honestly, like in everything that I've done in my life, in every job, a career field that I've been in, I have found that my greatest strengths lie in supporting other people in a background role. Helping to make sure everything goes smoothly, to make sure the foundation of the technology is working, to make sure everybody has what they need to do their jobs. That's where I excel. Not being in the front lines, not being a poster child or a PR rep or anything else. That's why I'm, here, just like I fill in comic relief roles, sometimes I pull stuff up.
wait.
I will say this much.
Hold that thought 1 second. Tech, you going ahead and having people do the things that you want them to do by whispering in their ear, all is known. It's not exactly being a team player. You understand this.
Stop!
I got him.
It's
Didn't
in my
I?
nose.
I did it. Sorry,
but,
go.
yeah,
Ow!
but you know, even if
I thought
like
that was
if I
my
did have
joke.
political aspirations, I would take a page from Dennis Miller in this case. Yes, I'm going to Dennis Miller. Sue me.
Go ahead.
But you want
I just have one thought. Like, try to get yourself reelected. Well, there's a photo of you circulating out there in a bear costume with 20 foxes hanging from your nutsack.
Well, okay. One, it will be a tiger costume because, well,
Oh, tiger. Sorry.
yes. Two,
I look like a bear.
I would actually spin that photo as hard as I could. I would, if they want to criticize, if they wanted to criticize me about something like that, I would embrace it.
My latest town hall.
Because for one reason, and again, I kind of subscribe to an old line by Dennis Miller, who used to talk about Bill Clinton. Now, you remember when Clinton was running for office? Well, first he started off about family values. That got shot down pretty fast. But there was the question of marijuana, where he said he, quote, tried it, but did not inhale.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the famous line. Dennis Miller said, you know, you kind of did that wrong, buddy. You should have said, yeah, I inhaled and I drank the fucking bong water while I was at it. You got a problem?
I remember that one.
See, that's the thing.
God, that was so long ago.
I know, but could you imagine a true Washington outsider? And I mean, someone like one of us. We go up to that campaign thing, and then that one dipshit press guy, I don't even want to call them journalists anymore, but I've got my reasons for that, wants to come up there and say, well, you know, back in 1985, you referred to this and that. What if you just kind of leaned over the podium and went, yeah, I did. I was also 16 at the time. I'm 49 now. Do you think I might have learned a thing or five in the intervening years, buddy?
You know what? I'm gonna hold that thought, because before we got started with the show, we had some discussion that was going on about movies, and believe it or not, there's a way I can actually link that all in together. At this point, I'm going to give you two names: Robert Downey Jr. and Rob
Lowe.
Schneider?
Rob Lowe. Thank you.
Rob Lowe.
Two actors who really cratered, yes, I'm using that expression. You're welcome, Dalan. Cratered their professional careers because of various different things.
Hell, Robert Downey Jr. was in jail, alcoholism and a whole bunch of other shit.
And Rob Lowe, he had a small problem with paying for love, I believe is the politically correct expression for it.
I honestly think that should be legal across the world, but let's not talk about that right now.
At the time, it wasn't, and he paid the price for it.
Yep.
Yes. Now, fast forward a couple of years, Rob Lowe ended up on The West Wing. For those of you that may not know The West Wing, you need to look up clips of The West Wing.
West Wing was a good series.
It was an exceptionally good series. Exceptionally good.
Now, just so people know, it was a fictional television show following the presidency, cabinet, and other members that work in a White House and press and all that other fun stuff.
And it was originally scripted by Lawrence O'Donnell, I think.
I don't know about that one. I don't know that far into it.
No,
I would have to say,
show
whoever
next to-
scripted the damn thing knew what the hell was going on behind the scenes.
Oh, hell
Well,
yeah.
you should watch Lawrence O'Donnell's show.
We'll have to
He's
check
right
into
next
that.
to Rachel Maddow.
Okay.
Ooh, what?
Right,
What's changed? Why that? You getting tired of her?
That would be going down another completely different rabbit hole here about.
I find that when it comes to Rachel Maddow, Joseph, there's two bands. There's either the liker or hater. There's no in between, and I don't understand why.
I
But
haven't been
there
following
are
for
there.
years, but yeah. But I was a big fan for especially during the Bush years. And she was one of the few voices of reasons out there. With Keith Olbermann and
But don't forget, everybody changes over time. I mean, Bill O'Reilly went towards the end of his career. There's no other way to put it. Batshit crazy. Holy crap, he lost his mind. Yeah. And even people who were like riding the middle of the line, who were friends with him, were going, "We have no idea what happened." He just went poof.
Look at Glenn Beck.
No, I really don't want to.
Well, no, I know, not now, but I mean, he was.
I'm not getting to sleep tonight.
No, but like he was one of the top commentators on Fox News, for whatever that means. He got into some hot water with Fox News, and he went right off the deep end.
Yeah.
You know, he had his show, what was it, The Blaze, and he started saying that I think first that George Bush was chosen by God to be the next president, and then I don't know if he jumped onto the Trump was chosen by God train or not. You know,
yep.
No. What got me with Maddow was that when the Mueller report came back, and say what you will about it, but she had hedged a lot of her reputation on what the findings of that report would show. She was, every time the Mueller report came up, she was there talking about how it was going to be, this was the smoking gun. We're finally going to get him. We're going to nail him. And then it came out, and it was like someone took a gigantic cream pie and slammed it into her face. And for the longest time, and look, as somebody who goes down and watches, I do watch MSNBC when I go down south. Just kind of watching her starting to fall apart a little bit.
We probably don't know the whole story there, because probably the Mueller report was
we don't.
She didn't anticipate it's being quote unquote interpreted the way it was.
Yeah, and the thing is, she had a lot of, she had to do not so much a lot of backpedaling, but she was definitely at a loss for words for a while there.
But she wasn't the only one. There were a lot of people who felt that when the Mueller report was going to come out, that a lot of things were going to come out in the open. Mm-hmm. The certain, things, people were saying things much like Chip was saying. We know this, but they weren't, they didn't have sources, they didn't have evidence.
We heard
they were all, all expecting that Mueller report to fill in the blanks of that lack of evidence. There's a movie, and in the movie, it's Upstanding Citizen or something like that. God, I can't remember the name of the movie, but I can remember the quote. In the movie, the quote is, "It's not what you know, it's what you can prove." And it's true. And when it comes to a court of law, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And I've been to court multiple times, and I can say that is a fact in our court system. Whether you're in the civil court or the district court is immaterial. It's what you can prove. And we didn't get the things that we were, many people, like such as myself, I was really hoping that a lot of damning evidence was going to come out of the report that was going to send a whole bunch of people behind bars that I felt needed to go behind bars. But
they tripped themselves up by their own. They tripped themselves out.
Yeah.
They tripped themselves up by their own tendency to leave room for doubt, and that is really when making a value judgment on this type of situation. If there's the slightest chance you can be wrong, like the whole thing just goes down.
Well, I mean, look at.
And that's what the other side capitalizes on. Oh, you may be wrong. Are you sure?
Yeah, and I can't believe
gaslighting.
And I can't believe I'm actually trying to tie this in, but the Untouchables. We knew what Capone was. He was a gangster. He was a murderer. He was an extortionist. He was every archetype of a gangster.
Because he was.
But what were they able to prove? What sent him up the river?
Tax evasion.
Something completely innocuous. And that seems to be the thing, is like, everybody's banking on this monumental, Hollywood style smoking gun court scene, that Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson will reenact 50 years from now.
Oh God,
Because Tom Cruise is immortal because of Scientology.
Jack Nicholson even be alive, but anyways,
He's Jack Nicholson.
okay.
Yeah.
If the Grim Reaper exists, I pity that
entity's
duty when it comes time.
You know what? They'll prop him up on a stage like El Cid, and he'll be fine.
Here's Johnny.
Yeah. Oh boy, that's going to be a bad one. But
wow.
But the thing is, everybody's looking for the big smoking gun. Like, try something innocuous.
Yeah, because people don't want to do the research themselves either.
Well, no, and the other thing too is that they want the big win. They want the score.
And I think that if you really looked into Rachel Maddow, I think you see that she'd have a point, but unfortunately, the status quo does not side with her. So it sounds like she's making.
Well, her ratings have tanked quite a bit too since then because of that.
Right.
But again, that was kind of the reason why I just kind of went, because I know she can also be a very snarky individual. Again, having watched her quite a bit.
I think one of her, when I was a huge Rachel Maddow fan, because I still kind of like her, but I'm not the fan of her that I used to be. When I was a huge fan of her, she was still doing a lot of going out in the field and getting reports on the big things.
Yes.
And I think that when she did that, that's where she excelled the most. Now, that's my opinion, regardless of how she felt she excelled or anything else. That's when I truly enjoyed her work, was when she got out in the field. And I find that is consistent along a lot of the reporters that I've seen on television. Mm-hmm. When they go out and they get in the field and they get in the dirt and the nitty gritty and they're reporting from the locations, when they're talking to the people and they're getting the documentation and they're getting the video footage and they're getting all that together, that's when I truly enjoy the news process.
Tech, can I recommend a channel to you? A YouTube channel. It's called Subverse.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, what it is, it's okay, and I've talked about this guy before. This is the brainchild of an independent guy named Tim Pool. He got his fame because he actually he was on the ground covering Occupy Wall Street, going up and actually interviewing people from both sides of the argument. He was also the founder of Vice News back in the day. But he's gone completely independent, and now he has this channel called Subverse, where he started it, but now he's actually hired a staff of other reporters. Yeah, this one here.
This one that I'm currently sharing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those videos there, most of them are on the ground interviews with people who are at the particular events that they're covering.
Okay, and by the way, just because people do tend to screenshot stuff, if you see the fact that I have it here subscribed, no, I didn't have this subscribed before the show. I clicked it before I started screen sharing. So, yeah, I don't have any. Yeah.
Why are you apologizing?
I wanted to clarify.
Trust me, we're not getting anything from Subverse, but like I said, they are on the ground. And actually, if you, let's say, in proximity as to where you are, if you happen to be at an event, and you filmed it, not necessarily for an interview to anybody, but if you filmed something that you saw, you might be able to send it into them and they could use it.
Now, here's a quick question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen them play any kind of special or pay special homage or love to one side of a political party or another? Or have you seen them demonstrate or report on corruption across the board, report on unethical practices across the board, lies across the board, that sort of thing, where they're, hey, it doesn't matter whether they're Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green Party, or whatever. it's getting reported as long as it's not libel or
They are
slander.
most of what I've seen them do is go to protests, for instance. Like
Okay.
the what was that one that just went on recently? It wasn't the Straight Pride Parade, but it was a like a
Area 51
No, not that one.
down here.
Yeah.
What's sad about that is there's more people going to freaking Area 51 than there are for the detention centers. I am really ashamed of my country right now.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly.
Supposedly.
Yeah, but anyway,
Yeah, well, once the
Should it be true, when the final head count comes in, if that turns out to be true, I truly will be disappointed in my country.
yeah, but no, these guys, they've interviewed protesters, they've interviewed the counter protesters.
What happens when millennials have less sex?
Okay, some of them are puff pieces, I will admit. You know,
They have fewer babies.
Yeah, there you go. They're less likely to need an abortion.
yeah, but the thing is, what I've seen of when they're not doing those kinds of pieces, they actually do get out to the event. They will not sit behind a desk and talk about an event and then use stock footage from Vox or something like that. They will go there and do it themselves.
Okay, cool.
They will interview people if they get the chance. So take a look, watch a couple of them. You know, if it resonates with you, great. If not, you know what? I tried. Don't necessarily have to watch them right now.
I'm not.
Sorry, and I was just typing something for us because something tells me that what I answered probably wasn't good to put out there in general. Although I was expecting Brigid to suddenly start laughing hysterically at that, but that's a there it is.
I get it now. I get it.
There it is.
Wow.
There you go.
Oh.
See. For those of you that are wondering, yes, I am a gentleman pervert. You're welcome. See, I'm a gentleman because I won't go ahead and put it out there for all of you. This is just for us to enjoy.
Why did I just imagine Mr. Peanut?
Because I'm breaking out of my shell.
Man,
How's
you've
that?
got issues. I was imagining an elephant.
What?
Trunk.
Not. You know what,
I've got issues.
dude? You're on this show. You have a lifetime subscription. That's how it plays. That's how it plays. With this
We all have more issues than my dad had collectively of National Geographic back in the day.
However, at the end of the day, all news has some biases in it, and the trick is trying to figure out where the bias is. Some news agencies are pretty good at, for example, reporting that, okay, these articles which have catchy headlines are op-ed pieces, or for those who are already not familiar, op-ed means it's an opinion-based article. It might have some facts in it. It might be loosely based on the facts. It might have no facts at all, but it is opinion-based article. Then you have other ones that, where they kind of try to hide an opinion article and make it look like it's a legitimate article. And that's sketchy in my book. That I think news agencies, when that's caught, need to be called out on it and held accountable.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, once upon a time, there was a gentleman who was considered the most trusted voice in news in the United States of America. And he was on the air for decades. Walter Cronkite was considered the voice you could trust because he gave you the story, he gave you the facts. And that's one of the things that you kind of wonder these days. Why is there so much extra spin and so few reliance on facts?
Nobody.
And go ahead.
Yeah, nobody judges anything for themselves anymore.
And facts
are not facts. I think to a good lot of the society today, painting with a broad brush again, but reality is a concept. Reality is not reality. And that's just my humble opinion. But I mean, when somebody says something, whether it maps to reality or not, people are just stopping short of addressing that.
It's kind of like on the one episode where we talked about the difference between people picking up the newspaper at the morning before school, reading it, and then going to school and talking about what they read, versus now where you get the information the second it happens, you immediately emotionally react to it, and then you send out those emotional reactions over Twitter or Facebook or Reddit or whoever, and you go about your day and you never revisit it again. Whereas in the time before instant communications, it sat in your brain, it simmered, you had time to think about it. Sometimes people didn't think about it, and other times people couldn't do anything but think about it because they had time on their hands while waiting to get to school.
Back in the day when the water cooler was important.
Exactly.
No,
hey, in my office, the water cooler is still important.
You know what? Screw that noise. In the day where the print media was important because you had a timetable, you had a delay that was simply built in. There was the morning edition, there was the afternoon edition, and if you're lucky, there was even a night edition. But you had a specific amount of time before your investigative journalism was going out. You had the time. You were under a crunch, but you had the time in order to make sure that you got the facts, you got the pieces together, you got the research, you got whatever it was that was necessary, and then put it out there for people to be able to investigate for themselves also.
And by what I can see, that even now things have gotten to a state where they're making damn sure that you don't have the time to process it, because the news cycle is going so quickly. You know, as soon as one thing's in your head, well, they put out immediately something else.
And not just that, like, even when you look at the advent of digital press, you know, I'm talking 10 years ago. Yeah, that's about right.
I'm gonna disagree with you on this one, and I'll show you why in a minute. Go ahead and do your thing.
I might have my time wrong, but just bear with me here.
No, I'll tell you why I'm disagreeing with you. Go.
I remember AOL News.
No. Keep
And I don't mean AOL News.
Dalan, keep going.
But I'm talking when a lot of these digital press sites started up. Things like Vox, things like Vice, things like I want to say BuzzFeed and all these other ones. They were the pioneers of the internet news market at the time. They were the competition against things like the Washington Post, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the established so-called, you know, print media. But now I look at those guys with nothing but absolute disdain, because now it seems to me that they're so desperate for the story, for the
clickbait.
That exactly, clickbait. These guys, to me, now are little more than an electronic version of the National Enquirer, which, by the way, I still see on the newsstands in the shopping in the Real Canadian Superstore. Thankfully, far enough away from the maple syrup. Just, you know, Shujin, so you know. There's another in-joke there, folks.
How sad is it that National Enquirer is still out there, and yet Mad Magazine is folding?
Yeah,
but one was designed to make you laugh.
Yeah.
And the other one was supposed to, and the other one right now is really the print equivalent of a lot of what you see on media sites these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is now, independent journalists, people who go out, who are boots on the ground at events, at other things, who do the research, you know, who actually do try to make a living researching articles and getting into it, are now being edged out and smeared by these people who are desperately hanging on to what they used to have. They just refuse to, you know, look, lead, follow, or get out of the way.
Okay. So
well,
here,
if I can,
Yeah.
Because it's once again it's a question of follow the money, because these people, these boots on the ground people, also are not being financed.
That's true.
They're just being, choked off,
Mhm.
because that's not where the money is. This kind of reporting.
Yeah, there are definitely some people who are doing that kind of job because they feel it is that important.
It's for the love.
Yeah. Now,
It's for the
what?
need. Well, anyways.
Well, yes. So here's where I'm disagreeing with Dalan about the way that he's thinking about as far as to the news cycle, the electronic news delivery. We'll put it that way. It wasn't 10 years ago. It wasn't even in 1980 when CNN started, cable news network, with the 24-hour news cycle, because everybody was rushing to get it out there first. It well predates that to the first electronic transmission of news, which in this case would be broadcast radio. Because radio completely bypassed the print medium and had the opportunity of getting together whatever it was they wanted and could put out a news blurb anytime they so wanted. Literally, anytime. It could have been the top of the hour, which the current news cycle for most broadcast radio stations, yeah, they still exist, would be from top of the hour, or I should say 1 minute after the top of the hour until 5 minutes after the hour. That is combined local news and national news services. If you ever listen to broadcast radio, that's what you will hear. Top of the hour, station ID, programming, and then in that first minute, that's what you've got.
Isn't station ID supposed to be every 10 minutes?
No, station ID in FCC regulations for ham radio is once every 10 minutes at the end of a conversation. That's a different animal from broadcast stations, where they have a different thing, but they traditionally do it at the top of the hour because it's a nice even spot, because everybody does it. And then they can put out whatever it is that they want after that, whatever programming, which could be news. Because remember, they're electronic, radio stations that still do actual news and not just NPR.
Yeah, and see, down here we have in the tri-state area of Maryland, Virginia, and D.C., they have a radio station, 103.5 FM, which their call sign is WTOP. Their weather is on the 8s, followed immediately by traffic. And if you've ever had to drive the Beltway of the area or any of the main highways, when you see your clock going to 8 o'clock or to 8, ending at 8, whether it's 08, 18, 28, 38, 48, 58, whatever hour, you click on WTOP.
Yeah, there are a lot of the stations that are doing that, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's the CBS Broadcasting Network that has specifically done that, with ABC and NBC's and other affiliates doing similar. Now
we have it here too.
Yeah. Now, the reason why I'm saying that this is important and how this actually ties into the whole who's willing to fall on their sword, whether or not, is because the grand push for oversaturation of the public can be directly addressed to the electronic medium, because it doesn't have to wait on print. It doesn't have to wait on delivery. All they have to do is get from whomever is doing their article, whoever is reporting on whatever it is, get the information into the office, have an editor go through and make sure everything is right the way that it's supposed to be, get it typed up, get it into the booth for whoever it is that's going to be reading it on air, get it on the air, it's out there. And they can repeat that however often they want because they've got it printed up and they don't have to spend anything extra to have the guy or gal speak it out there. Now, that oversaturation can very easily get into what we're dealing with now, which is we are just simply inundated and flooded and tired because it's just been a marathon of here's the next thing, here's the next thing, here's the next thing, and waiting for somebody to finally say, you know what? This is wrong. And it looks like I did something wrong. And I don't even want there to be the image of impropriety for me because I will end up losing respect. I will end up losing trust. I will end up losing there's another piece. I'm trying to remember what the hell it was. See, this is the problem. I do various things where my respectability, the trust that people have in me is so important that I don't even know what to call it at this point. But I think you get the idea at this point. Impropriety. I don't want there to even be the shadow of impropriety on me because then people will not trust what I have to say or what I'm trying to accomplish. So it would be better for me to simply not be there to detract from what the job should be.
Yeah.
And one of the most notable for that, and whether it had anything to do with the news cycle or not, was Nixon, who fought tooth and nail, who believed in himself because he was a megalomaniac when all was said and done. But he finally had the others around him finally say, look, dude, you need to go because you're going to hurt the rest of us.
Yeah.
And the only ones that were really in Nixon's circles that said, I will fall on my sword as opposed to do the wrong thing were the people in the Justice Department for this Saturday massacre. I want you to fire that guy. No. And you can't make me because I've resigned. Okay, I want you to fire that guy. Yeah, I'm going to have to say no. Here's my resignation too. Bye. All the way down until he found somebody to fire, the guy that he didn't want investigating him. And it were people like that who said, no, I'm not going to do that. The problem with this is, well, by evolutionary tactics, that kind of means that the only ones that are left are the ones that don't want to fall on their swords. We end up with the creeps that are left over.
The establishment.
That's a problem. Oh, it's not even the establishment. It's the creeps. It's the ones who think that just because I look bad doesn't mean that I need to go away because, well, I still have things that I want to accomplish, whether I look good or not, through whatever method or not.
People with no morals and who don't play by the rules.
Scruples.
Yeah. No consideration. Actually, if you want to follow that down further, sociopaths. And we can even go down further to downright psychopaths in some cases. People who are only concerned about their own well-being, basically.
And what they can get away with.
Yep. And damn the consequences.
Yeah, Brigid, I don't think that you do know. But I mean, you're the closest one that I would think might know. Do you actually know what the clinical terms are for psycho and sociopaths and what the difference is? I'm not saying that you should. I'm asking if you do. Because I don't actually know what the differences are myself.
Sociopaths are more organized. Like if if I do things, I do things deliberately and not really on a whim. And a psychopath does things more impulsively. That's about the main difference.
Okay.
Sociopaths, yet they both don't have any empathy towards other people, and they both do whatever they want to do. But a sociopath is more calculated. The sociopath is going to be the serial killer that never gets caught.
Brilliant.
And the psychopath is one that's more impulsive and gets sloppy.
So what happens if I have empathy for people, but I tend to do things on impulse anyway?
That's not the same thing.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I wasn't lumped in the same boat. I was worried there for a minute.
I mean,
Oh, that's off
impulsivity
my-
does not mean that you're a psychopath.
Yeah, I mean, you could have empathy for people and decide that stabbing them is a good thing, in which case you've got a spot for Doctors Without Borders, perhaps. So consider that.
Yeah, or
Depending on how you stab them, it might be helpful.
yeah, and actually, stabbing people thinking that
I believe I just said that.
stabbing people to make you think that to think that that's a good thing for them. Gee, you might have just found religion.
But sociopaths also have a tendency to make really good CEOs and politicians and things like that.
Probably because they're the ones who are just like,
Very
okay,
calculating. Yeah.
we've got this to do, and we're going to do it. Oh, somebody got hurt along the way. Well, we're sorry.
That's life in the
Can't-
big city.
Yeah, can't. I was.
You were going somewhere with it?
Yeah, and you know how you're supposed to be able to understand somebody else's argument before you can make a proper argument back yourself. I just had a thing go through my head of, and I don't think that I'm remembering the analogy correctly, but something along the lines of the squeaky wheel doesn't get grease, it just gets ground down until it don't squeak no more.
Might get replaced.
Yeah, that's
If you're not, well, that's the status quo working. But I think a lot of the status quo is they're not making arguments; they're making comparative sounds.
it could be. I mean, there's just
Because
two different things.
agreeing is the same as the definition of good for people to make no value judgments for themselves.
And therein lies the problem yet again. But again,
There's a lot of people, they're exploiting this. I mean, this is basic human nature. It's supposed to be in early childhood only, and we're supposed to grow up and start making decisions for ourselves. But there's a lot of, as you said earlier, speed bumps against that, one of them being religion. And just the politicians and a lot of people are just exploiting the fuck out of this.
And that's the problem right there, isn't it? The exploitation. It's that, when we're young, we, generally speaking, will learn how to play games. Sports. Kickball, dodgeball, t-ball, softball, baseball, badminton, volleyball, whatever the game, except for jarts. You're not allowed to play jarts anymore. Apparently. I don't know why. Everything's fine.
Too many people got injured.
Yeah.
That eye patch makes you look like a real man.
Yeah, well, yeah, Nick Fury's got the whole thing. See, now the funny part of it is, you remember how many people it was that were actually injured by those things, Brigid?
Oh, probably like 5.
Yeah, something like that. So,
Mhm.
yeah. And how many people is it going to take to institute vacuum packing and tamper sealing on ice cream around the world?
Just one.
You saw that one, by the way?
I did indeed see that one.
Yeah, Brigid, did you see about that?
I did not. What did I miss? What happened?
Yeah, well, short version. Somebody thought it was really cool to take a ice cream out of the freezer, pop the lid off of it, lick the whole damn thing, and put it back inside of the thing. And They're looking at easy 20 years federal for that.
Yeah,
Ooh.
because that's how you give somebody hepatitis.
Yeah, amongst other things. Now here's the thing I was going for. The exploitation of the offices, because that's really what it comes down to. The offices of government were expected to have been dealt with in, well, I guess the best way of putting it is a gentlemanly way. Yes, people were expected to disagree. And Lord knows, in my country, the formative years, there were lots of disagreements. I mean, shit. We had somebody who yelled and screamed and ranted and raved, thank you, Mr. Madison, who went ahead and said, look, fine, we've got all the rules on what the federal government is supposed to do. How about we go ahead and lay out some things where the government is not allowed to do? Yeah, we really didn't think about that, did we? Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and I guess we'll do that. It was expected. There was an expectation that people would behave by the rules, by decorum, that they would conduct themselves in such a manner that what we're dealing with these days wasn't even. It was not expected to be like this. It was not even a consideration that somebody would behave quite like this. There were concerns of, the people who would be completely charismatic, that would charm people, but the warnings were in place to say, look, when this happens, you need to slap that shit down. And you need to make sure that people understand what's going on. And you need to make sure that it doesn't continue. And yet, all those warnings completely fall by the wayside these days. And now we've got people who are complete cults of personality. We've got it's Rob Ford now, right? I'm trying to remember. Okay, because I forget which one was the one that's in politics and the other one that's dead. I forget. Forgive me. I mean, I'm accurate.
No, and I was just calling up. I'll admit I didn't know too much about this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, which we were all talking about. And yeah, so I called up his Wikipedia page.
Yeah, it's already had a lot of stuff going on with it.
Yeah, and apparently this latest bowl of crap that he's dealing with is not his first time.
No, it's not.
Apparently, back in 2008, he solicited a 14-year-old girl for intimate encounters.
Well, he's done time for this before. I mean,
Yeah.
It was just a slap on the wrist, but still.
Yeah, so there's definite precedent. And I mean, the fact that he's connected to the Clintons or anything like that should have absolutely no bearing on his fate. If he is found guilty in a court of law beyond reasonable doubt of doing this, then he should do the time. And if it turns out that if during this entire trial, a ton of names get dropped as parts of this, and that can all be proven too, then you know what? I say lower the boom.
Yeah.
Because,
hell yeah.
Look, God, I feel like
there's pictures.
I feel like a certain YouTuber when I say this, because it feels like I say this every episode that we get into the politics, is that I am north of you. I am not an American citizen. I do work in the States ever so often because I go down on site for work, paid for by my Canadian company. But when it comes to politics, I don't care either way. If you do something wrong and you are proven guilty of it, then that is all that should matter. The fact that you are connected to the Clintons, George Soros, the Koch brothers,
me,
the Rockefellers, anybody, it shouldn't matter. And as a matter of fact, if one of these influential elites are worried about getting a little bit of tarnish on their silver spoon from some guy like this, then maybe it's time to start, distancing yourself. And maybe come up with that boilerplate. Well, yeah, we knew him back in the day before he was a dirtbag. Oh, yeah. So, that picture we saw of you with him with July 8th, because according to July 5th, because according to this was July 6th that everything kind of hit the fan for him. But that's the other thing, too. What do you say? We knew the guy, but we didn't know about this. Maybe that works. I don't know. I mean, Shujin, I've known you for almost a decade now, more than a decade. Met you in person 3 or 4 times now. The nature of online friendships, eh? But I don't know everything about you. I don't know what happens, when the mics go off after the shows. I don't know what you do with your life. So, if suddenly I'm reading a Wikipedia page about you, similar to what I'm seeing about old Jeffy boy here, and if they come after me and say, you know what, dude, I just worked with the guy. That, I can be honest about that.
Well, it's not that. It's these other people can be implicated, and from what I have heard, there are pictures in video.
Now you see, that's okay.
Oh,
Now I know I'm not trying to bring back your old buddy Chip here.
yeah.
Now if that stuff surfaces, okay, fine. But if that goes around and I end up seeing something about that on Snopes again, even though they've had their days, but even so, if fact checking reveals that kind of stuff doesn't exist, well then that's we're done with it.
See, the big thing is you'll have a lot of people like Chip who, and I've been guilty of it too, where they'll make a statement or they'll make a series of statements, say 10, 15, 20, 30, whatever. Who keeps count half the time of how many statements they make in a day? And they'll state something to be fact. And out of all the things that they state, one thing turns out to be pretty on point. And they'll say, see, look, because I was right about that, I'm right about everything else. It's like, no, that's actually a fallacy. I forget which one it is, but it is a fallacy. Just because you're right on one point doesn't mean all your other points are validated. And, but we're seeing a lot of that right now where, one person is right about one tiny little detail or one thing. And they demand that everything else be given 100%, trustworthy status because of it. It's like, no, you can't. That's not how it works. All right. When you're dealing with skeptics and you make a statement, you have to be prepared to back it up. If you can't back it up, you either have to drop it, retract it, apologize for it, whatever the case might be. And the way our country being the United States of America, for those of us who are American citizens, born or otherwise, and the way our country works is you can accuse somebody of a crime, but it doesn't mean they're guilty until they've been proven so in a court of law. This is not China, where accusing somebody of a crime means that you're locked up and you're now guilty. No. You might be locked up after being accused of a crime if the police have sufficient evidence that warrants a warrant or a need for lockup in some way, shape, or form. There's rules and regulations about that, which is why there's quite a few people who walk right out because rules weren't followed. And you also have a lot of people who aren't aware of their rights and such, which is why they're still behind bars in many cases where they, if they phoned an attorney and said, hey, look, this is what happened, out they go. But that's for another show. The point is that we have to keep a skeptical side to it, which is, okay, fine, you have a politician accused of being a pedophile. Prove it.
Mm-hmm.
You can have 15,000 young ladies come forward, 15,000 young men come forward, all claiming up and down, swearing up and down that they were sexually molested by this one person. That's a large number. Okay, Fine. Prove it. You've made the accusations. Now you have to provide the evidence to back up the statements, or the case has to be dropped.
Yeah, a couple things. Trippin. By the way, Doc, I'm glad you were able to make it even for a little bit.
Waxin!
Yep. Trippin. I'm not going to repeat what you said, not because I find anything wrong with it, but because what is being asked, we should not go into at this point. It's a question in relation to this whole rigmarole that I'm pretty sure the rest of the crew would agree. Probably not something that we should go into at this point because we don't know the answer and we don't know how germane. So for right now, I'm going to leave that aside. I did read it. I just wanted you to know all this. Now, part of what Tech was saying is that, yes, we do need to have the evidence in order to prove what the accusation is. But there is also another piece of, if you've got, it doesn't matter how many, whether it's 15,000 or 5, but if you have enough similarities in claims from disparate individuals who otherwise have no interaction with each other than the one hinge point, the one cotter pin of it all. Some people know what a cotter pin is. Yeah. I was going to say linchpin, but that's probably not a good choice to use in this case. If there are enough commonalities, that would be enough to warrant closer examination, for holding an individual, for keeping them away from others so that it can be better investigated, so that there's no tainting of stuff around. But the problem is that we're dealing with something where, if it's true, I'm not saying I believe or disbelieve, if it's true, there are a number of human lives that have been forever I don't know what the right word is at this point, and I'm trying really hard not to have
Then give a descriptive statement, sentence to supplement the word, something that we understand what your train of thought is. You know, you may not remember the word locomotive, but you can say the big train thingy that runs on the tracks.
Damaged.
There you go.
I cannot think of a more powerful word at this moment than damaged. And parent or not, the human side of me simply thinks in terms of, oh my God, if this is the case, this is one person who's connected to who only knows how many other people who may or may not have done similar. And it is just dawned on me in an incredible amount with that we've talked about the goddamn Holy Roman See and the centuries and countries and cities across this planet where this has damaged untold, uncountable lives.
Mm-hmm. And maybe I'm sounding a little nihilistic here, but whatever this guy gets, assuming he gets anything.
If he did.
Yeah.
I know. I know
it's proven.
at this point, if he did, and if it's proven.
Yeah. And I don't know if we're ever going to see the end of it. Because if this person is as connected as I've been hearing, the people who he could potentially expose or incriminate or just
assuming they're actually involved.
Well, but just taint by dropping a name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's enough power behind that, I can guarantee you that there's going to be stuff going on in the background to try to either bury this, discredit his accusers, which again is going to even further destroy certain lives. And this, I want to watch this very closely, because I do want to see what comes out of this and what machinations are going to start taking place, because then we'll know. You know, if there's been talk that this guy had connections with the Clinton family.
And you know what? If he is connected with them,
Mhm.
and they had anything to do, anything, yeah, bury them.
Yeah, but but what I'm saying is that they will probably start doing something that we've seen countless other times, at which point we suddenly realize that, yeah, there are, at the beginning of the show, Shujin, you were talking about the good guys and the bad guys. And I am seriously beginning to think, depending on how this little shit show goes, there are no good guys at all in this game. That everybody's in it for themselves. And we just have to consider ourselves lucky that we can get up in the morning, because anybody who works in DC who's not a contractor, no offense here, Tech, they have
it's okay, I don't work in DC as a contractor.
Yeah, well, whatever. But anybody that seems to go into that area of the country, I swear, they cross the border, they have to sign a waiver saying, by accepting this position, you have officially lost the plot. And then they sign it with their own blood.
Hey, I'm not even in DC. And I've had days where I've gone to work and gone, oh, crap, you know, what the hell am I doing thinking logically right now? They should ban it, because if I continue to think logically, I'm not going to get these things done.
Yeah.
And that's everyday work.
Yeah.
That's infrastructure work. That's not even making policies and politics or spending money or any of that shit.
And tripping.
Yeah.
I hope beyond all hope that you're not coming back here, you know, a few weeks from now saying called it. Because I really hope not.
The only way that,
Stephanie, same thing.
Yeah, the only levity that I can put to that one is for those that don't know, Trippin had said Vegas have odds if he will have an unfortunate quote accident unquote before he can actually go to court. And Stephanie added a medical condition. They have done that before. And I'm only saying that because otherwise out of context it doesn't make any much sense. I was about to say the only levity that I could add to it would be if it was being presided over by Ryan Wilson. Ryan. Shit. Am I thinking I'm so tangled up in shit. I don't even remember who the hell the guy who played Deadpool.
Ryan Reynolds?
Ryan Reynolds. Why the
By the way, there's a teaser trailer for a possible Deadpool 3.
I
am excited. For all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, and I've said it before, and I'm going to keep saying it over and over and over again. I try really hard to be the pro. I really try to be the moderator, and I really try not to have my emotions get the better of me. I'm having a really difficult moment with this one, and I was good for the most part through most of the night. You know, when brain suddenly says, "Yeah, you might want to think about it this way." Yeah, I don't like when my brain does that to me. This is kind of what's this is kind of what's going on for me right now. So I'm gonna see about closing up. Dalan, you and I have had far and away more talk time than
Yeah.
anything else. So I think we're good because I don't want to trust myself
Yeah.
to say anything else at this point.
You said enough.
Yeah. Brigid, any last item that you want to drop in here because
I'm good.
Not even the stuff you typed in the chat window.
No.
okay. No,
I'm not naming names.
it's fine. It's fine. And that being the case, then Tech, I'll give you a second to say whatever you want. Not what was typed, because if she's not naming names,
No.
I
I already picked up on that. She doesn't want that aired. I'm not airing it because that's her wish. Well, look at that. People can actually respect other people's wishes, even
Yes.
if they have a difference of opinions. What a concept. Maybe our government should learn that one.
But what I typed out is a matter of public record, though.
It doesn't matter if
But
look. You said you're not going to name. You're not going to do anything with it. We're going to leave it as is. Don't backpedal in any way, shape, or form. Stand firm. It is up to you to stand like that tree and tell someone else, no, you move.
Anyway.
Yeah, you do your thing. I'm going to look up that quote because I want to quote that one directly.
There you go. Yeah, Google that. I'm about to get kicked off the show or chat. The facts remain that we have to be able to prove accusations before assuming the accusations to be true. You can believe that the accuser truly feels that their accusation is truthful and still treat the accused as innocent. Okay? It's not being disrespectful to the accuser, and it's not being disrespectful to the accused. However, there's a lot of people out there who yell and scream that if you don't agree with one side or the other only, then you are a bad person. No, you're not a bad person. If you're doing that, you're being skeptical, you're being respectful, continue the good work, and be a good demonstration, an example to others that they can learn that mentality from, because there's not enough of it going around. And right now, we need all that we can get of it.
Yeah. Joseph, was there anything last that you wanted to get in before we go ahead and close it?
Please think about it. Whatever it is, follow those rabbit holes.
Nothing wrong with that. I found the quote that I was just quoting poorly. I know I said I wasn't going to say anything. I know I said I wasn't going to say anything else, but this quote is too important to pass over, and I did not know ahead of time where this was exactly from. I kind of knew that it was Captain America who said it, and I didn't realize it was from the Civil War comic from The Amazing Spider-Man. And this quote is attributed to J. Michael Straczynski, who is he is a good person. from what I've been able to ascertain from him so far. I do follow him on Twitter. I have interacted with him a couple of times. I had asked him one time that I had written some stuff once upon a time that, I got emotionally impacted by my own stuff. That, I mean, is that the way it's supposed to be? And he's like, yeah, because, if you're not impacting yourself, who the hell else are you going to impact? You can't expect it to resonate with somebody else if you don't resonate with yourself. I'm highly paraphrasing, but the quote is this: doesn't matter what the press says, doesn't matter what the politicians or the mobs say, doesn't matter if the whole country decides that something wrong is something right. This nation was founded on one principle above all else: the requirement that we stand up for what we believe, no matter the odds or the consequences. When the mob and the press and the whole world tell you to move, your job is to plant yourself like a tree beside the river of truth and tell the whole world, no, you move. It's not an easy thing to read words like that and not be moved. And I will keep saying this over and over and over and over again. It doesn't matter where good ideas come from. What matters is if they are good ideas. I don't care if it comes from a comic book or it comes from TV. It could come from the Bible. It's got some good passages, but it's the individual parts that matter. Just like a broken clock. It's good twice a day, but past that, you can pretty well ignore it. What we ended up talking about today really traversed a lot of very, very weird ideas. And the rabbit holes themselves may not have necessarily seemed like they were germane at first glance. But it really does help to really get the lay of the land for all this. There's a lot. It's super complicated. And it is something that is going to be taking up a lot of the news cycles coming up, as much as we don't like the way that those news cycles operate or what they do to everybody. But that's kind of the reason why we do what we do with this show. There's a lot to really unpack and unravel, and there's no way in hell we can do enough of that because, I mean, shit, it's late or early, as the case may be. But with luck, it is our hope that we gave you something worth thinking further about for yourselves. And we really do hope that what we did talk through, at least, is worthwhile and is really provoking for further consideration for you. Thanks for being with us for part of it. The guys that ended up finishing up with the live chat with us at this point, Stephanie, Doc Waxon, Trippin, thank you. I don't know if Phyllis is still there at this point. I know that she was there earlier. I didn't mention her. I'm sorry. But guys, thank you very much for being with us. Beyond that, as far as the chat was concerned, you guys want to find out a little bit further about what happened with that, you can watch back later. You figure it for yourselves from there. But of course, as always, the guys, just thank you. Joseph, you have yourself a good morning. Good luck for the rest of the week. I hope that you have yourself a more comfortable next couple of days, weather-wise especially.
Oh yeah, it's cold now actually today, but lots of server work, so I'll be safely indoors.
If it's cold, pass some of that shit down here.
Yeah.
Please.
The wind only goes one direction.
I can't remember what snow looked like.
You'll have it soon enough, Tech.
God, I hope so.
You try to have yourself a good morning. Sleep well.
Thank you. I think I actually will be getting some good sleep. I get that. Have you ever been tired to the point where you get this warm, fuzzy feeling, almost like your sense of touch has decreased by like, I don't know, 15, 20% or something like that. Everything seems a little bit, you're not processing as much of it. You're getting a kind of a warm shell feeling, and you just want to kind of curl up, cuddle up, and go to sleep. You get that tired. Whenever I get that, I usually have a good night's rest, and I'm kind of getting that feeling right now. You guys are probably seeing my eyes drop, and I was just like, yeah, if I get to bed soon here, I'm actually going to have some good rest. So thank you very much.
I'm glad that we were able to put you to sleep, I guess, then.
That's not what I meant, but thank you for wishing me a well rest as well.
Well, it was either that or I was going to warn you that Cypher is going to go ahead and pull your plug, so you have yourself.
Wait until I'm asleep and then pull the plug.
Fair enough. Brigid?
Honestly, if I'm a vat in a jar, nobody tell me.
Okay. Brigid, thank you. You have a good morning and rest well.
Yeah, he too.
And of course, thanks for covering last week.
Oh, you're welcome.
People want to get you.
They can find me on Facebook, Brigid Fitch, or find me a blog at brigidfitch2112.wordpress.com.
Makes sense. Dalan, like I said, we've known each other quite a long time, and you know that I try to hold myself to the Superman standard. Thanks for covering last week, and thanks for doing what you do for me, man. I really do appreciate it.
No worries. Glad to do it. As for myself, of course, I am the curator of the audio version of this show in podcast format. Excuse me. Available over on holycrapthevlogcast.com. For my own stuff, been a little lax as of late, I will admit, because venting in the car can be a wonderful thing when I go to work. But if I ever do end up scratching stuff down, you can find that at inthewind.yo5.ca.
Thanks, man. As you said, everything that you need is over there, as well as contact links, holycrapthevlogcast.com. If you'd like to leave us a voicemail message, feel free. The phone number over there is 859-HCTV-554, 859-4288-554. And, of course, if you want to drop a couple of dollars or drachma or whatever, you want to leave a couple of... well, crap, I'm trying to remember. What was it that was given to Sharon? Was it drachmas? Was it whatever the hell it was? You look up your mythology, you figure it out later. Yes, you can hit us at patreon.com/HCTV. Maybe I'll see what I can do about that a little bit more a little bit later, because got stuff. I'm tired. I'm emotional, and I'm gonna do my damnedest to get the hell out of here as quickly as I can, because I'm not in a good shape for this one right now, and I tried to hold off as well as I could. So everybody, thank you very much for being with us. We are looking forward to seeing you again next time, and just be safe out there. And for those of you that still have all 10 fingers, congratulations. Really do appreciate it. Next week is the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 11 moon landing. Something tells me we should probably talk a little bit about that.
Sounds like a plan.
Meanwhile, until that time, go take very good care of yourselves. And again, please just be safe, especially if you're out there on the water. It's the summer. I know how it can be. So till next time we get together, everyone, as always, I wish you all the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. And bye. By that point, I will have had another wedding anniversary come and go. So, as always, my lady, not today, Fujin. I love you. I miss you. Happy anniversary. Dream of us. As always, until the next time we get together, everyone, good night.